Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you didn't leave the impression you wanted? Maybe you've wondered why some people seem unforgettable, while others are easily overlooked. Does this happen in your life? Think about it. How often do you find yourself struggling to express yourself clearly, truly connect, or feel confident in what you say? Whether it's in relationships, work, or even casual interactions, this can feel frustrating and exhausting. As the philosopher Epictetus once said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Yet, in a world full of noise, it's easy to forget this wisdom. But what if the way you spoke could change everything? What if you could captivate attention, build genuine connections, and leave a lasting impression every time you opened your mouth? Today, we'll explore the 4 principles of communication that high-value men use to stand out: purposeful speech, emotional presence, confidence through self-mastery, and emotional depth through vulnerability. These strategies aren't just about talking. They're about transforming how you connect. Let's dive in. Lesson 1: Purposeful speech. Have you ever found yourself talking just to avoid awkward silence, only to realize later that the conversation felt flat? Or maybe you've said too much, over-explained, or tried too hard, and it left you feeling disconnected instead of closer to the other person. When we speak without purpose, we risk being forgettable, or worse, coming across as someone who lacks confidence or clarity. Conversations lose their depth, and instead of leaving a lasting impression, we leave a shallow one. There's wisdom in the words of Epictetus. Nature gave us 1 tongue and 2 ears, so that we could listen more and talk less. This isn't about staying silent. It's about choosing your words carefully and knowing that what you say matters only when it's meaningful. Purposeful speech is about being intentional, saying less and listening more, so your words carry weight when you do speak. To apply this in your everyday life, start by thinking before you speak. Instead of defaulting to empty phrases like, "How was your day?" make your question specific and thoughtful. If someone mentioned a challenge or a project before, follow up with genuine curiosity, like, "How did that project you were working on turn out?" It shows you listen and care about what's important to them. Listening is just as important as speaking. Don't listen just to respond. Listen to understand. When someone shares something, pause for a moment before replying. It gives you time to absorb what they've said and respond in a way that feels natural and thoughtful. For example, if someone talks about a stressful situation, instead of jumping in with solutions, you might say, "That sounds like a lot to deal with. How are you handling it?" This shows empathy and allows the conversation to flow naturally. Finally, resist the urge to fill every silence. Let the conversation breathe. Not every moment needs to be packed with words. Sometimes, silence shows confidence and creates space for the other person to open up. If someone asks about your day, you don't need to give every detail. Instead, keep it simple. "It was a good day. I'll tell you more about the cool project I worked on later." This not only keeps the intrigue alive, but also shows you're comfortable without oversharing. Purposeful speech isn't about saying a lot. It's about saying what matters. When you speak with clarity, listen with care, and leave room for curiosity, you'll naturally create deeper, more meaningful connections. Lesson 2: Emotional presence. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person wasn't really there? Maybe they were distracted by their phone, looking around the room, or just waiting for their turn to talk. It's frustrating, isn't it? Now, think about this. Could someone feel that way about you? In today's fast-pacing world, we're often so distracted that we forget the power of being fully present. When you aren't emotionally present, conversations feel shallow, and meaningful connections become harder to build. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." This idea of stillness and focus is the essence of emotional presence. It's about being completely engaged in the moment, not thinking about what you'll say next or letting distractions pull you away. Presence makes people feel valued, respected, and connected, and that's unforgettable. Being emotionally present starts with removing distractions. When you're talking to someone, put your phone away and give them your undivided attention. Eye contact goes a long way. It shows you're there with them, fully engaged in the conversation. For example, if someone shares something important, respond with genuine curiosity, like, "That's really interesting. What led you to feel that way?" This not only keeps the conversation flowing, but also deepens the connection. Equally important is controlling your emotions. In heated or tense moments, staying calm and composed shows strength and maturity. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to gather your thoughts. For instance, if someone says something that feels critical, you might respond with, "I see your perspective. Let me think about that for a second." This shows you value their input without letting the conversation escalate. Another way to build emotional presence is by mirroring positive energy. Pay attention to their tone and emotions and reflect them in a natural way. If they're excited about something, match their enthusiasm. For example, if they're passionate about a hobby, you might say, "That sounds amazing. I can tell it really means a lot to you." This creates a sense of alignment and rapport, and I feel that I withdraw my feelings and observe my situation from a distance. This creates a sense of alignment and rapport. I feel that I'm less alone and I'm more connected to others. This allows me to feel the connection and alignment. It allows me to feel the connection and alignment and celebratory. Finally, embrace patience in your conversations. Don't rush to fill every pause or silence. Let the other person set the pace. Sometimes the most meaningful exchanges happen when you're comfortable sitting in silence, giving them space to share what's on their mind. Emotional presence is about showing up fully in every interaction. When you focus on the moment, listen with intent, and respond thoughtfully, you create a space where people feel seen and valued, and that's how you leave a lasting impression. Lesson 3, confidence through self-mastery. Have you ever noticed how some people naturally command respect the moment they walk into a room? They don't try too hard, they don't dominate the conversation, but somehow their presence is magnetic. On the flip side, have you felt the awkwardness of someone seeking constant validation, over-explaining themselves, or fearing rejection? That's what happens when confidence comes from insecurity rather than self-mastery. Without inner confidence, your interactions can feel strained, leaving you chasing approval instead of earning respect. As Seneca wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True confidence doesn't come from external praise or flashy achievements. It comes from knowing your worth, controlling your emotions, and staying true to your values. Self-mastery means you're centered, calm, and unshaken by outside circumstances. This kind of confidence is not only attractive, but also unbreakable. Building confidence starts with knowing your value. You don't need anyone else's approval to validate your worth. Instead of asking, "Do you think I'm good enough for this?" Reframe your mindset to say, I know I can handle this. When you operate from self-assurance, you exude a calm strength that others naturally respect. Clarity and decisiveness are also key to confident communication. Don't overcomplicate your words or hesitate to express what you want. For instance, instead of saying, I think it might be nice if we could maybe hang out sometime, say, I'd like to spend time with you this weekend. Let's make it happen. This directness not only shows confidence, but also sets you apart from others who are unsure or overly cautious. Another crucial element of self-mastery is the ability to handle rejection with grace. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our effort, our mindset, and to let go of what we can't. If someone declines an invitation, respond calmly with, no problem at all. Let me know if you change your mind. This shows that your confidence doesn't depend on their reaction and that you're secure in yourself. Finally, let your actions speak louder than words. Confidence isn't about boasting or trying to impress. It's about consistently living your values. If you say you value kindness or hard work, show it in how you treat others and how you handle challenges. For example, instead of talking about how disciplined you are, let her notice it through the way you manage your time and commitments. Confidence through self-mastery is quiet but powerful. It's about knowing who you are, staying grounded, and not seeking approval. When you live with this kind of self-assurance, you don't just attract respect, you inspire it. Lesson 4. Emotional depth through vulnerability. Have you ever felt the pressure to always appear strong, composed, or perfect in your interactions? Many believe that showing vulnerability is a weakness or a risk, but the truth is, avoiding vulnerability often leads to shallow connections. Without it, relationships can lack depth and authenticity, leaving both people feeling like they only scratched the surface. When we refuse to open up, we miss the chance to create real bonds and instead keep others at arm's length. Brené Brown, a modern researcher on vulnerability, put it best. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's our greatest measure of courage. This aligns with the Stoic belief in self-awareness and confronting life honestly. Sharing your emotions, struggles, and growth doesn't make you weak. It shows strength, courage, and confidence in who you are. Vulnerability, when used wisely, can turn ordinary conversations into meaningful connections. To bring emotional depth to your relationships, start by understanding the balance of vulnerability. It's not about oversharing or seeking pity. It's about being honest and self-aware. Instead of saying, I feel so lost and don't know what to do, reframe it to, I've been reflecting on some challenges and it's taught me a lot about myself. This shows you're willing to open up, but from a place of strength, not desperation. Another way to deepen connections is by sharing your values and beliefs. When you talk about what matters most to you, people naturally feel closer to you. For example, you might say, one thing I really value is staying true to my word. It's something I always try to live by. This gives others a glimpse of your character and invites them to share their own beliefs. Opening up about personal challenges or growth can also be incredibly impactful. Sharing how you've overcome difficulties shows resilience and makes you relatable. For instance, you could say, I used to struggle with speaking up in groups, but I've learned that preparation and staying calm really help. This not only reveals your journey, but also shows that you're always growing and evolving. Listening without judgment is equally important in creating emotional depth. When someone opens up to you, resist the urge to fix their problem right away. Instead, validate their feelings by saying something like, that sounds really tough. How do you usually handle situations like that? This builds trust and makes them feel safe sharing with you. Finally, pace your vulnerability. Sharing too much too soon can overwhelm the other person. Instead, let the conversation naturally unfold. For example, if the topic turns to past relationships, focus on lessons learned rather than unresolved issues. Like saying, "One thing I've learned is how important communication and respect are in building something meaningful." Emotional depth through vulnerability is about being real, relatable, and brave enough to share your true self. When you open up in a balanced way, you create trust and intimacy, making your connections not only deeper, but also unforgettable. Now we're about the video. Now it is time to change your life. Write down a comment and say that you want to change your life. No matter how difficult it is to change, I will read each of your comment features one of the best comments in our channel. If you want a daily dose of unfiltered motivation, subscribe to our channel.